Hey, what's up, gang? I took part in the Mario Regional, okay? It's like a 72, 75-person event. Really interesting, really fun, had a great time. I was kind of tired at the end of it, but that's okay. And I ended up taking first with Hunters. In my opinion, I think there's not too much you can do with the Hunter list that a lot of people can't really do themselves. And what I mean by that is there's not too much creativity. You kind of just play four of everything. However, I think my list is unique enough that it requires some form of explanation for the cards that I've decided to choose and for the ratios that I decided to run them at, as well as certain matchups and things to kind of expect in the current metagame. So to start off, 4 eggs. We got Monemon. On deletion, make sure you draw before you save, otherwise you miss timing. The egg is, I think, just constant. You always see it. Best rookie in your deck is for Psychmon. It's purple. Your purple inheritables are the best for the draw. As well as Psychmon is able to combo with your Astas into Quartz really easily. You can get Quartz out on like turn 3 if you have, or on my bad, on your turn 2, to clarify, if you're able to have enough Tamers out and enough material underneath them. And it's also good for resource management. Next up, we've got 4 Gumdra. Again, purple and inheritable makes it the best. The draw is nice sometimes, as well as it gets a body underneath your Tamers, so that way you can use them when digivolving and whatnot, which is good. Next up, we've got 3 Drachmon. I was running it at 4, however, I ended up taking it out for the next taking one out for the next rookie, because the green inheritable is nice. It's really good into the meal matchup, because they'll go ruin mode, and so you need the Drachmon in order to get your 4s out in order to actually pressure them in any way, shape, or form. However, it's not the most useful. Sometimes you'll see a Drachmon instead of one of your other purple rookies, and you'll have a bad time. But it also unclogs your hand a lot. You're playing, I think I'm playing 12 Tamers. And so a lot of times you'll end up, just as the deck plays normally, with like 5 or 6 Tamers in your hand, kind of just breaking it up. So a Drachmon for 2 with something underneath it, and then drawing 3 off of that usually is really good. And then finally, we're playing one of the Shoutmon, putting us at 12 rookies in the deck. Shoutmon is, I think, completely okay. Play cost of 3, that never really comes up too much. But I can see situations where it would, if you don't want to push anything underneath it. However, the main reason we're running it is because of the red inheritable. We only have 4 red inheritables, excluding this one. And so in order to help certain matchups that go wide with smaller Digimon, I found that Shoutmon was kind of necessary in that aspect. It's a one-of, it's not super impactful, and we took out the Drachmon, which again comes up towards like the mid or late game. So we're not really missing it too much, but I can understand if someone plays the 4th Drak instead of the Shout here. You can make an argument for the Ikakimon. I think the Ikakimon is cute into certain matchups, like D Reaper. However, other than that, it's not super useful, unfortunately. And it doesn't save itself either, which is kind of a downer. For Shoutmon King version, in your opening hand, if there's a Tamer, a Shoutmon King version, a level 3, and then another Digimon with save in its card text, you're usually pretty happy. Being able to cheat out a Tamer turn 1 with a rookie in the back, and then, you know, just do your shenanigans, get a bunch of draw going, you're usually really happy to see it. It's like, I think, your second most ideal opener hand. The most ideal is the Watchmaker and a rookie, but other than that, I think it's pretty good. For Damemon, I used to really value the blocker inherit. However, as the metagame kind of has come up to what it is now, I think blocker is completely useless, unfortunately. The decks that you need it against, you're already winning, typically just because of Restromon Superior Mode's insane, or Quartzmon's insane. And in the decks that you need blocker against, they either have Piercing or they'll delete your stack before you can block with it, so it just kind of feels bad. But it is your gamble card. We love Gamba. Gamba in this house, you always pray, you always win, get it twisted, you never lose. This deck will win you games, and I mean, not this deck. This card will win you games, and this card will lose you games depending on if it hits or not. So it's a little swingy in that aspect, but boy oh boy, does it feel good playing a Damemon on turn 1 and hitting a Toguru. It really gives me more joy than anything I've ever experienced in my entire life. Things you need to keep aware of when you're going for Damemon is how many tamers you've seen. So typically you want to play him early on in the game compared to like the Shaolin King version, just because if you start off with like no tamers in your hand, and then you like say like draw 1 or 2 and it's like your turn 2, you'll probably hit Dame just because we are playing 9 hits, and statistically speaking we're going to at some point copium. Next we've got 4 Arrestor. It's Rush. It's Rush. You know, it's Rush. There's nothing else I can say, but it's Rush. You have enough tamers out. You got like 4 or 5 tamers out that can suspend. You can get like 2 or 3 checks in with Rush. It's good. It's probably the best. Excluding like our tempo cards, it's just so good for clearing. Going Psychmon for 2, adding back an Arrestor from underneath your tamers, Digivolving on top of it for 0, swinging, getting like a draw, it gets deleted, you save it underneath, you go to Psychmon again, get back the Arrestor, Digivolve on top for 0, go in. That's just 4 memory and that's 2 checks from hand. It's so nice. It's actually so nice. And if it lives, then you just go Arrestor Superior mode on top, and that's, you know, another check there. If you have a Watchmaker, this guy checks for twice, and you can just give it jamming too if you find a clock. It's so consistently good. And as I play the deck more, I find that I just always want to see an Arrestor in hand at any given time, almost. The downside is that you can't play it out with the Cross Hearts, just because it's a play cost of 6 with no cross requirement. So it is the brickiest of your 4s, but you still play it at 4 just because it is purple and it's insane. Next up, 2 Clockmon. I want to run it at 3, but I spelled Arizona all over my 3rd Clockmon, and so I've just been running it at 2 since. Too lazy to buy another. I want to run it at 3 just because there's a really specific matchup that it's needed in. If you have Clock against the Royal Knights, you kind of just win the game. You just win the game. You never even go into Superior mode in that matchup. You just keep going into your 4s and then cycling your Clockmon over and over as they are forced to delete it. And you just keep getting checks in for free because they don't play anything in security that will stop you. You just keep going, burr. But I think this card's insane. You never want to play it out. This card sucks to play out. I play it on Clockmon and I'm down bad. Alright, Clockmon feels awful to play out for a couple of reasons. One, it needs different colors, and because we play so many purples in this deck, typically you're hitting 2 purples off of it. And we also play a lot of tamers, which means you're hitting 2 purples and a tamer pretty consistently off of it, and that sucks ass. But I mean, it's a blocker for early game, so if you're really that down bad and you need some bodies, you can just play it. The main thing is obviously the jamming. Next up, 4. You hear me? 4 of the Ostamon. I know what you're thinking. What? That's insane. That's crazy. Why would you ever play 4 of this card? You'll Digivolve on top of your Digimon, and if they have 4 or more sources, you go into Quartz. That's cool. It's purple. You place it underneath a guy. You get, you know, draw when attacking. He's really consistent because, you know, the main card that you Digivolve on top of typically is Psych, and so you will get the body back typically if it's underneath a tamer, which is also nice. The main reason is you just don't got many good 5s, dude. It's this, Omnishout, and Superior. Superior is the best by far. Ostamon is the second best in my opinion. The red inheritable, kind of useless. Superior, Omnishout gives you security attack +1 and deletes. If you're deleting with Omnishout, it's just worse Superior by far. Most decks that you can delete with Omnishout, you're already winning anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And the decks you can't, you're already losing to anyways, so it doesn't matter. You just need to see your Superior mode pretty much at any game state whatsoever. So I find that the extra draw really helps a lot, as well as we are playing some interesting tech cards to benefit from the 4 Asta, as well as we were playing extra Quartz to also benefit from the Asta, because I think Quartz is actually positioned really well into the current metagame. And I'll go into that when we get to Quartz. However, back to Asta. If they have less than 3, you can also use it to tempo out tamers or tempo out bodies. So things that you can do include if you have 3 or less, are playing out the Dame, playing out the Clock, or playing out the Shout, to either search for Tamers in your deck, play a Tamer from hand, or get extra bodies, which is usually really nice. And if you're doing that, you also don't mind if your stack gets deleted, because you can go wide, and you're essentially pressuring your opponent to say, hey, I'm going to kill you next turn unless you can do something about it. And the extra purple body is really important. So a lot of times, you can get a superior mode out, and then also get an awesome one out, ending your turn that way, getting a level 4 body out. Putting 3 bodies on field, which is pretty good in a lot of matchups. Sometimes it's detrimental if you're going against like fair or whatnot, but we'll explain again why I like the purple bodies. Superior mode, nothing to say here. Best card in the deck. Play it at 4. Can't play it any less. You always want to see it all the time, baby. Superior mode for life. There's nothing else to say. It's just so good. What can I say? What can I say? There's nothing to say. What can I say? This guy digivolves for 0 on your purple boys when they get attacked. There are plenty of game states where you will end up with a Asta superior mode at the end of turn, or a superior mode at the end of turn. A lot of decks will delete a stack when they go to swing. All right, Shine will DP reduce the stack to death. The Black War players will just swing into your stack and kill it. But if you have 2 out, okay, they delete a stack. You cry about it a little bit. Did you all for 0? You turn off all of the inheritables, which does suck. It doesn't feel great, but you discard 3 because, you know, you got so much card draw. You steal a turn from them. And by the point you're doing this, you're winning the game. By the point this happens, you've won the game. If this ever goes off, you win. It's funny. It's so funny. In the tournament, I was going against Red Hybrid in one of the matchups. I think I was 3-0 at the time. And he had game. I was missing quartz. I had done like a lot of searching for quartz. I couldn't find it. I only play 3 because I think 4 is too bricky. So this is my 4th quartz, technically, in a lot of ways. It's a different kind. He swings in. All right. He deletes one of the bodies, one of the purple level 5s I have out. I digivolve on top of this. He gets rid of my last 2 security, trash 2 cards, and he shows me that he had Blitz Omni for game. It comes back to me. I push up from raising. I win the game from there. It was super, super funny. It was very demoralizing. If anything, all right, if you wonder, like, well, just play the 4th quartz then, I'd say probably not, just because it's a little bricky. You really hate to see it. This card demoralizes your opponent. If this ever goes off, first and foremost, they will play around it for the rest of the set. They will play around it for the rest of the set. They will never not play around it. So that's a huge plus. Second, it's so funny. It's so funny when this goes off. There are a couple matchups where it is better than quartz. There are some niche scenarios where it is better than quartz. But on average, you do want to see this bad boy. All right, quartz is just insane. Quartz is crazy. We're playing 3. I'll be completely upfront. Our deck is weaker against Beals, against Belf, and against Royal Knights, because we are playing so many quartz and we're playing so many Ostamods. We have really hard hit into this matchup. And lo and behold, I ended up going against Beals, and I ended up going against Royal Knights in this tournament. However, allow me to explain. 1, quartz is not our boss monster. Our boss monster is Arrestor Dramon. This card is a stun card. You essentially play it, you say, hey, you can't kill me this turn. Think of it like Ice Wall, I think is the best way to examine the card. In certain matchups, it does just win you the game, but on average, it is just Ice Wall to say to your opponents, stop, deal with this, you can't kill me, and then we're going to run it back on my turn where you can kill them, typically. By the time you're getting a quartz out and you need it to survive, you're winning the game next turn. So, it's just an Ice Wall. We're playing 3 Ice Walls, basically. And if it lives, you're winning the game pretty much as well. Because a Quartz that gets the trash cards, you're trashing minimum 1, potentially 2. At that point, they're probably gonna die. We're playing 3 of each tamer. And I mean of each tamer. Okay, not the shitty fucking evil hunter ones, but of the good ones. To start things off, 3 black you, the worst. That's it. It's just the worst. You never want to see it early. You only really want to see it mid to late. However, it is a color. We need the black color in our deck. Okay, because we sometimes we need to hit 7s. Sometimes you gotta hit a 7, and it's just there because it also helps you hit 6s easier. The rester. This card's insane. I played it 4. I want to play it at 4. It's just too bricky. And I know that it searches for pieces, which is really nice. But my god, dude, playing a tamer for 3 in this meta just feels awful. When you can die their turn 2, their turn 3, playing a watchmaker and then playing a second watchmaker sometimes just dooms you or to win you the game. It's hard to tell sometimes. 3 Toguro, memory setter, and then 3 Taiki, our best tamer. The draw is really nice. Sometimes you won't have the ability to use it just because your hand's too bad, and Taiki needs at least somewhat of a decent hand to get its draw effect off. But on average, it comes through really well. Going into the current matchups, I'll talk about just going down the list of like matchups that we're favorable in to like ones that we aren't, and like the ones that I saw in the tournament. I think that Beals, I think we're favored slightly now that they're just slower. If they hit insane on the mills, there's nothing you can do about it. But if they don't, you're completely fine against them. They can't play Iron Mako, otherwise they just lose their stack and cry about it. Red Hybrid, another meta contender for BT12. You just beat them pretty consistently. Quartz beats them. Arrestor beats them. Like, you just don't care at all, honestly. Maybe if they hit the nuts again, they can out aggro you, but on average you're fine. There is Machine Dramon, I think, is still seeing some niche play. I saw it in the tournament, not for me personally going against, but I saw it a couple times. It's probably your hardest matchup of like the BT12 style decks, just because if they don't, if they know what they're doing, they're just never gonna build more than 1 stack. They'll give it reboot blocker, and then you'll cry. Any deck that can just build a blocker and just a single stack and win the game off of it, you usually have a pretty rough time against them. That's where kind of Quartz comes in to force them to answer it. You can go into Quartz like back to back pretty consistently, or if you hit a analog man in security, you kind of just win that matchup, auto win at that point. Let's see. I think that's all for the BT12 EX4 style decks that we really need to like watch out for. You can argue like Blue Fair, but I think we're favored into Blue Fair as long as we play around their 2-person stacks pretty efficiently. Going into BT13, Mirage Galgamon, I think is fine. Like I didn't run into it personally, but it just didn't do very well in the PPG tournament, and it didn't do very well here in the Mario regional. So you can argue that there's something to talk about there, because we do add a lot of cards to our hand, but I don't know. I think you can dump pretty efficiently if you need to by just talking shit. I'm trying to avoid Shine and Belf right now because those matchups are somewhat interesting. Yeah, I think that's actually it. Shine, Belf, and Royal Knights. So we'll talk about Royal Knights. I think we can consistently beat Royal Knights if we have a decent enough hand. And what I mean by that is they just put you on a clock, and if you can kill them before that timer runs out, you win the game. And then the things that we need to watch out for in that deck, I think, are Leopardmon, giving block to everything. And then Craniumon. The Alphamon does not do anything to us because we're under play cost 10. So we can just continue to get our aggro on. The Alphamon doesn't do anything. The Magnamon is kind of whatever. Like, you have to block or you gotta kill a body. But I mean, past that point, it's only there for a turn. Plus, they play a Magnamon and something else. We can tuck it, or tuck the other thing under the Magnamon, slowing them down even further. though you aren't typically tucking in that deck against that deck because their levels are so high. But if you end up getting like a tuck or two, you're in a really good position. I think in the matchups I had against Royal Knights, they were forced to use Omnimon early to just try and stave off dying. And if they do that, then I think you're just guaranteed to win the game at that point, because you're just going to be able to start whittling down their bodies on play on the field, and you're going to be, slowly whittling them down. You can also go into Quartz. That's your Quartz comes online at that point, and there's no way for them to out it without giving you 10 memory and letting you kind of go back into another Quartz really easily. Let's see. Clock is mandatory in that matchup, I think. If you don't see Clock, it really feels bad. And then I would also suggest staying out of Superior mode until you're able to get a tuck efficiently, because you want to be able to save your Clock over and over and over again, and your body will typically be deleted when it goes back to their turn, because they have so many deletion effects to get rid of your stacks. I think we'll go into Shine next, because Shine is I think a completely fine matchup for us as well. I think that if they high roll, you lose, but I think if anyone high rolls, gets high rolled by Shine, you lose. So, I mean, that is what it is. I think it's just the best deck in the format, probably. But it's too inconsistent, in my opinion, with the current lists that I've been seeing, so I don't really care too much about it. I'm gonna wait till someone finds something that I think is like consistent enough, and I'm just gonna night deck it and fucking start using that shit. But that aside, I think it's favored just because Quartz is again able to buy us a turn, and then we win from that position on the crackback. As long as they don't have two bodies. If they have two bodies, then you have to get rid of the body and then go into Quartz, or get rid of a body and then go into the Quartz, because it's really easy for them to push up from raising, have one suspended, one unsuspended, digivolve into the BT12 Shine, pop the Quartz depending on the amount of tamers they have, and then go into burst mode and get a check in with the tamer with a security attack +1 trash card. That's 3 checks right there, and then either getting another check in with the Shine, or even going into another burst mode and just doing it all over again for the check and trash, and then from that point you're just dead. And that's something they can do as long as they have a good enough stack. Onto the Belfamon matchup, you just kind of cry. You just kind of cry. There's something you can really do about it. It's either you kill them, which is kind of hard to do quickly enough, and then they'll play out the sleep mode, and then from that position you're done. There's nothing you can do, as sad as that is. But Belmont I don't think is popular enough yet. But it's legitimately the only threat we have in the meta that we just have to feel really bad about, which is unfortunate. You just play fast. You just gotta play fast. I think the draw is probably the best way to go about it, but yeah, you just gotta play fast. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much. If you guys have any questions over why I chose certain cards or anything like that, a couple tech cards I've considered are like Calling, Overflowing Power, maybe a Omni Shout, but it's just bad, so never mind. Yeah, I think that's honestly it. It's just Calling and Overflowing Power, the two that I've kind of been tinkering with a bit. But yeah, feel free to comment, ask any questions. I'll try to get answer any of those. Hugs and kisses. I love you guys.